The wind never stopped at the camp. It dragged dust through the barbed wire, rattled loose tin, and slipped through cracks in the wooden walls like the place itself didn't want to exist. The American medical hut sat at the edge of the compound, not quite with the guards, not quite with the prisoners. A strange middle ground. Like the man who worked inside it. Captain Daniel Harper had stopped looking at uniforms months ago. To him, everyone who walked through that door was just a patient. Fever, infection, broken bones, malnutrition. The war had 1,000 ways to wreck a body, and he spent every day trying to undo just a few of them. That evening, the lantern light flickered while he stitched a farm boy's hand, a cooking accident. Outside, boots crunched on gravel. Then came a knock. Not the sharp, confident knock of a guard, a hesitant one. Harper glanced up. "Come in." The door opened slowly. A young woman stood there, wrapped in an oversized camp coat, hands trembling in the sleeves. Her face was pale beneath the grime of the day. She wasn't visibly wounded, and that alone made Harper tense. People who came in without obvious injuries usually had worse problems. One of the guards lingered behind her, clearly uncomfortable. "She asked for the doctor," he muttered. "Says it's urgent." Harper nodded. "You can wait outside." The guard didn't argue. He shut the door. Now it was quiet except for the lantern's soft hiss. Harper pulled a stool closer. "All right," he said gently. "Tell me what's going on." She sat, but only halfway, like she might bolt. Her breathing was shallow. She kept pressing a hand against her ribs, then her stomach, then letting it drop like she didn't know where the pain actually lived. "Are you hurt?" he asked. She shook her head. "Sick?" Another shake. Harper kept his voice steady, the same tone he'd used 1,000 times before. "You're safe here. Whatever it is, we'll figure it out." Her eyes finally met his. That's when he saw it. Not just fear, confusion. Like her own body had turned into a stranger. Her voice barely came out above a whisper. "Doctor." She swallowed hard. "Something's wrong." Harper felt a chill crawl up his spine. Not because of what she said, because of how she said it. This wasn't panic. It wasn't exaggeration. It was the quiet certainty of someone who knew, deep down, that something inside them had changed, and they didn't understand how. Harper stood slowly. "Okay," he said, calm but alert now. "We'll take this step by step." He reached for his medical bag. Outside, the wind hit the walls again. Inside, the lantern flickered. And, for the first time in months, Captain Harper had the feeling this wouldn't be a simple case he could fix with stitches and antibiotics. Something about this didn't fit, and he was about to find out why. Harper pulled the privacy curtain across the corner of the hut, more for her comfort than secrecy. The lantern light softened, casting long shadows across the wooden walls. "All right," he said gently. "I'm going to ask you some questions first." She nodded, but her hands stayed clenched in her lap. "When did this start?" She hesitated. "A few days, maybe longer. I thought it would pass." "What are you feeling exactly?" She searched for the words, frustrated. "Not pain. Not like an injury. It's like—" She pressed a hand against her side again. "Pressure. And I get dizzy. Tired all the time." Harper listened carefully. No visible trauma, no fever. Breathing steady, but shallow. "Any coughing? Fever? Nausea?" She shook her head. He helped her onto the exam cot. She winced. Not sharply, but like her body didn't trust a sudden movement anymore. Harper checked her pulse. Fast. Too fast. He frowned slightly. "Have you been eating?" She gave a weak shrug. "As much as we can." That explained some things. Malnutrition could do strange damage, but something still didn't line up. He pressed gently along her ribs and abdomen, watching her face more than his hands. There, a subtle reaction. Not sharp pain, but discomfort. Deep. "When you say dizzy," he asked quietly, "do you ever feel like the room spins? Or like you might faint?" "Yes," she whispered, "especially when I stand." Harper's mind started working through possibilities. Exhaustion. nutrient deficiency, stress, all common in the camp, but her symptoms were layered, subtle, internal. He reached for his stethoscope and listened to her breathing, then her heart. He paused, listened again. Something was different, not dramatic, not obvious, but enough to make him lean back slowly. She watched his face, searching for answers before he spoke. "Is it bad?" she asked. Harper didn't answer right away, because for the first time he wasn't sure, and in a place where injuries were usually brutal and visible, the quiet, hidden problems were often the most dangerous. "I need to run a few more checks," he said calmly. "You did the right thing coming here." But as he turned toward his medical bag, a thought formed that made his chest feel tight. This wasn't just camp sickness, and whatever it was, it had been growing unnoticed. Harper asked her to sit still while he checked her eyes. He lifted the lantern slightly and tilted her chin toward the light. The color drained from his own face. Her eyelids were almost white, not pale. White. He checked her fingernails next, pressed them, watched how slowly the color returned. Too slow. Her pulse wasn't just fast, it was struggling. Her body wasn't getting what it needed to function. "How long have you been this tired?" he asked quietly. She blinked, confused by the question. "Everyone's tired." "No," he said gently. "I mean, before that. Before the dizziness." She thought hard. "Weeks? Maybe more?" Harper stepped back and exhaled slowly. This wasn't an injury. It wasn't infection. It was something quieter, and just as dangerous. Severe anemia. Her body didn't have enough red blood cells left to carry oxygen properly. That explained the dizziness, the pressure, the racing heart, the exhaustion that sleep couldn't fix. And in a camp where food was scarce and nutrition worse, it could creep up unnoticed, until standing up felt like climbing a mountain. "Is it bad?" she asked again, voice smaller now. Harper knelt in front of her so she didn't have to look up. "It's serious," he admitted, "but it's treatable. You came in at the right time." Her shoulders dropped just a little. "For now," he continued, "you don't go back to work detail. I'll speak to the command staff. You stay here. Rest. We'll adjust your rations, and I'll start supplements from our medical stores." She stared at him like she didn't quite believe it. "You're helping me?" Harper gave a tired half-smile. "That's the job." Outside, the wind still scraped dust along the walls. The war hadn't changed. The camp hadn't changed. But inside that small wooden hut, something had. For the first time in weeks, the woman didn't feel like her body was betraying her. And for the first time in months, Harper felt like he hadn't just patched someone up. He'd stopped something invisible before it turned fatal. Sometimes the worst wounds didn't bleed. Sometimes they just whispered, "Something's wrong." And sometimes, someone finally listened.